So you're sitting there making $65,000 a year, driving a $35,000 car with a $550 monthly payment, and you genuinely believe this is just normal. This is what responsible adults do, right? You've got a reliable Honda or Toyota. You're not driving some flashy BMW or Mercedes. You put down a decent down payment, your interest rate isn't terrible, you're doing everything right. Except, here's the thing. That car payment alone is costing you over $1.5 million in retirement wealth over your working career. $1.5 million. And you have absolutely no idea because nobody, not your parents, not your friends, definitely not the car dealership, has ever shown you the actual math on this. Today, we're going to break down exactly how much the average American actually spends on cars, why it's completely insane, and more importantly, what you should be spending instead if you actually want to build wealth. My name is Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why Americans are so spectacularly bad at car buying. If you're someone who's ever felt like you're doing everything right financially, but somehow still can't get ahead, or you're wondering why your paycheck disappears every month even though you don't feel like you're living extravagantly, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I'm going to start with a number that's going to make you uncomfortable, and that's the point. According to Experian's 2024 automotive finance data, the average monthly new car payment in America is $726. For used cars, it's $533. The average American has their car for about 6 years before trading it in for another one. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, I get it, car payments are high, but that's just the cost of reliable transportation in 2024. And that's exactly the thought process that's keeping you broke. Because here's what most people don't realize. That payment isn't just $726 a month. When you factor in insurance, gas, maintenance, registration fees, and the absolutely insane rate of depreciation, AAA calculates that the average cost of car ownership in America is $12,182 per year. That's over $1,000 per month for a car that's sitting in your driveway doing nothing 95% of the time. But wait. It gets worse. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household spends 16% of their after-tax income on transportation, with vehicles being the overwhelming majority of that. For a household making $70,000 a year, that's about $11,200 going straight into a depreciating asset every single year. Let me put this another way. You're taking 16% of your income and literally setting it on fire, because that's what buying a depreciating asset feels like when you actually understand the math. Let's do some math together, because I think once you see this laid out, you're going to have a very different perspective on car buying. Let's say you're 28 years old, you make $65,000 a year, and you're about to buy a $35,000 car. You put down $5,000, finance $30,000 at 7% interest over 72 months, which, by the way, is now the average loan length in America. 72 months, 6 years to pay off a car that's going to be worth half what you paid for it by the time you're done paying for it. Your monthly payment is about $520. Over those 6 years, you'll pay roughly $37,440 total once you include interest. But your car? According to Carfax depreciation data, it's now worth about $18,000. You've lost $17,000 in depreciation alone, plus you paid $7,440 in interest. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If instead of spending that $520 a month on a car payment, you bought a reliable $8,000 used car in cash and invested that $520 every month in a simple index fund earning the historical stock market average of 10% annually, after 6 years, you'd have $48,600. Not $18,000 in car equity, not even $35,000. $48,600. But most people don't stop at one car, right? You're going to repeat this cycle over and over for your entire working life. So let's say you do this from age 28 to 65. That's 37 years. If you keep that pattern going, buying a new $35,000 car every 6 years with the same financing terms, you'll spend approximately $232,000 on car payments alone over your working life. But if you bought reliable used cars and invested the difference at 10% annual returns, you'd have $1,847,000. Let me say that again. The difference between buying new cars and buying used cars while investing the savings is literally millionaire status, $1.8 million. That's the real cost of your car payment. Now you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, that's cute math and everything, but I need a reliable car for work. I can't be driving some old beater that's going to break down on me. And look, I get it, I really do. But here's the thing. This belief, this story you're telling yourself about needing a new car for reliability is mostly just a story. It's a psychological justification for an emotional purchase decision. The average car on the road today is 12.5 years old, according to S&P Global Mobility. 12 and a half years. And you know what? Most of them are running just fine. A well-maintained Honda Civic or Toyota Camry from 2015 with 80,000 miles isn't a beater, it's a car with potentially another 150,000 miles of reliable life left in it. But we've been conditioned, and I mean literally conditioned through billions of dollars in advertising, to associate our cars with our identity, our success, our worth as people. The car companies know this, the dealerships know this. They're not in the business of selling you reliable transportation, they're in the business of selling you a feeling. Here's what's really happening psychologically. You're using your car to signal to others, and more importantly to yourself, that you're successful, that you've made it, that you're a responsible adult. The new car smell, the latest technology, the warranty, the feeling of being behind the wheel of something nice, these are emotional payoffs, not financial ones. And the really insidious part, this emotional spending on cars is directly preventing you from actual financial success. You're sacrificing the millionaire retirement for the appearance of success today. I'm gonna be blunt here. Driving a $35,000 car when you make $65,000 a year doesn't make you look successful to people who actually understand money. It makes you look financially illiterate. The truly wealthy people I know, they're driving 8-year-old cars because they understand that wealth is what you keep, not what you spend. But let's go even deeper, because the car payment is just the tip of the iceberg. Insurance on a new $35,000 car, you're probably paying $1,800 to $2,400 per year depending on your age and location. For a 10-year-old car worth $8,000, maybe $800 to $1,200 per year. That's an extra $1,000 per year right there that nobody factors into their decision. Then there's registration and taxes. In most states, these are based on the value of your vehicle. A new expensive car can cost $400 to $600 per year to register. An older, cheaper car might be $150 to $200 per year. And here's something that really gets me. People justify buying new cars because they won't need repairs. But according to AAA, maintenance and repair costs on a new vehicle average about $1,200 per year. For a used vehicle, it's about $1,383 per year. So you're talking about a $200 difference annually, $17 per month, and people are making $500 per month payment decisions based on saving $17 in potential repairs. The math isn't math, as the kids say. Oh, and let's talk about full coverage insurance requirements. When you finance a car, you're required to carry comprehensive and collision coverage until the loan is paid off. When you own a cheaper car outright, you can drop that coverage and just carry liability. That's another several $100s per year minimum. When you add up all these hidden costs, the higher insurance, the higher registration, the opportunity cost of the down payment, the interest on the loan, the true cost difference between new and used car ownership is absolutely staggering. Here's a concrete example. Let's compare owning a $35,000 new car versus a $10,000 used car over 6 years. New car, monthly payment $520 times 72 months is $37,440. Insurance, $2,100 per year times 6 is $12,600. Registration, $500 per year times 6 is $3,000. Maintenance, $1,186 per year times 6 is $7,116. Total, $60,156. Car value after 6 years, approximately $18,000. Net cost, $42,156. Used car, paid in cash, purchase price $10,000. Insurance, $1,000 per year times 6 is $6,000. Registration, $200 per year times 6 is $1,200. Maintenance, $1,500 per year times 6 is $9,000. Total, $26,200. Car value after 6 years, approximately $5,000. Net cost, $21,200. That's a difference of $20,956 over 6 years, or $3,493 per year, or $291 per month. Every single month for 6 years. That's the real cost of buying new instead of used. All right, so now that I've thoroughly depressed you with the reality of car spending, let's talk about what you should actually be spending instead. There's this rule in personal finance called the 24-10 rule. You should put down at least 20%, finance for no more than 4 years, and your total monthly vehicle expenses, payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, shouldn't exceed 10% of your gross monthly income. Now, here's the thing. I actually think that rule is too generous because it still has you buying way more car than you need and sacrificing way too much of your income to a depreciating asset. My rule is simpler. If you can't afford to buy a reliable used car in cash, you can't afford a car. Period. But Rihan, you're saying I don't have $8,000 sitting around to buy a car in cash. And that's exactly my point. If you don't have $8,000 in savings, you have an income problem or a spending problem or both. And going into debt for a $35,000 vehicle is just going to make that problem exponentially worse. Here's what you should actually do. Buy the cheapest reliable car you can find. I'm talking $3,000 to $5,000. A 2008, 2012 Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla with 150,000 miles. Yes, really, these cars with basic maintenance will easily last another 100,000 miles or more. Drive that car while you aggressively save money. Take what would have been your car payment, that $520 a month, and put it in a high-yield savings account. After 1 year, you've got $6,240. After 2 years, you've got $12,480. Now you can either upgrade to a nicer used car with cash, or, and this is what I want you to hear, keep driving your current car and start investing that money instead. Because here's what most people don't realize. The goal isn't to work your way up to a nicer and nicer car. The goal is to keep your transportation costs as low as possible so you can build actual wealth. Look, I get that driving a 12-year-old Civic isn't sexy. I get that it doesn't feel successful. But you know what's really sexy? Having $500,000 in your investment account at age 45. You know what feels successful? Being financially independent and not worried about your job security because you've actually built wealth. Let me put it another way. Every dollar you spend on unnecessary car expenses is a dollar that's not working for your future self. And your future self is going to have a lot of opinions about your current self's car buying decisions. This is where it gets really interesting, and this is the part that changed my entire perspective on car buying. Let's say you're 25 years old and you have a choice. Buy a $30,000 car or buy a $10,000 car and invest the $20,000 difference. If you invest that $20,000 in a simple S&P 500 index fund and it grows at the historical average of 10% per year, by the time you're 65 years old, 40 years later, that $20,000 will have grown to $904,845. $900,000 from one car buying decision. But it's actually worse than that, because you're not making this decision once, ever. You're making it every 6 to 8 years throughout your entire working life. Let's say every 7 years, you have the choice between buying a $30,000 car or buying a $10,000 car and investing the $20,000 difference. From age 25 to 65, you'll make this decision 6 times. If you choose the expensive car every time, you'll have spent $180,000 and you'll have whatever your last car is worth, maybe $15,000 if you're lucky. If you choose the cheap car and invest the difference every time at 10% annual returns, you'll have $2,847,633. $2.8 million. That's the actual opportunity cost of buying new cars instead of used cars over your working life. This is not even including the monthly payment differences we calculated earlier. This is just the purchase price difference. This is what I mean when I say most people are financially illiterate when it comes to car buying. They see a $500 monthly payment as just $500 a month. They don't see it as the $1.8 million it's actually costing them. And here's the really crazy part. This isn't theoretical. This isn't some unrealistic scenario I made up. These are real numbers based on actual average car prices, actual average investment returns, and actual average car buying patterns. The difference between financial success and financial struggle for most Americans isn't whether they got a fancy degree or started a business or got lucky with crypto. It's whether they made smart decisions about the three biggest expenses in life: housing, cars, and food. And cars? Cars are the easiest one to fix because, unlike housing, there's almost no legitimate reason to overspend on them. All right, so let's say you're watching this and you're currently sitting in a $40,000 car with $35,000 left on the loan and a $650 monthly payment, and you're having a bit of an existential crisis right now. First of all, it's okay. You didn't know what you didn't know. The entire system, from your parents to the education system to the advertising industry to the dealerships, is designed to keep you in this cycle. You're not stupid, you were just never taught the real math. But now you know, and now you can make different choices. Step 1. Stop the bleeding. If you haven't bought a car yet, don't. If you were thinking about upgrading, don't. Your current car, whatever it is, just became good enough for at least 3 to 5 more years. Step 2. Assess your situation. If you have a car loan, look at your payoff amount. If you're not significantly underwater, meaning you don't owe way more than the car is worth, consider selling it and buying a cheaper car with cash. Yes, this might mean taking a small loss, but it stops the bigger loss from continuing. If you are significantly underwater, focus on paying off the loan as quickly as possible with extra payments while simultaneously saving for your next car purchase in cash. Step 3. Create a car replacement fund. Whatever your current car situation is, start saving now for your next vehicle purchase. Even if it's just $100 or $200 a month, start putting money aside in a high-yield savings account specifically for your next vehicle purchase. The goal is to break the cycle of financing. Once you pay off your current car, keep making that payment to yourself. If you had a $500 car payment and you pay off your loan, keep paying that $500, but pay it to your savings account instead. Step 4. Shift your identity. This is the psychological part, and it's just as important as the math. You need to stop associating your car with your identity or success. Start taking pride in being financially savvy instead of having a nice car. When someone asks you about your older car, instead of being defensive, be confident. Yeah, I'm driving this for a few more years while I build wealth. Trust me, the people whose opinions actually matter will respect that. Step 5. Do the math for yourself. Take your current car situation, your payment, your insurance, your total monthly costs, and calculate what that money would become if you invested it instead over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Make it real. Make it painful. Let yourself feel the weight of what this decision is actually costing you, and then make a different choice. Subscribe to this channel if you want more videos breaking down the real math behind personal finance decisions that most people get wrong. Drop a comment below and tell me, what do you drive and how much do you spend on it per month? Let's have an honest conversation about this in the comments. Your future self is watching you make this decision right now. Make them proud. I'll see you in the next video.